EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on this site and this program are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to EduTechGuys Radio. Hope everyone's doing well this afternoon. Yeah, no kidding. All right, I'm David.
Hey, I'm Jeff.
Welcome to the show. This is, I don't know what you call that. This is ad-lib. This is off the cuff. This is
season 3, episode 3.
Yeah, that's what this is.
3-3.
It's 3-3. It's like 666. Yeah.
Just not times 2 yet, or whatever that's supposed to have.
whatever that.
222. Whatever. Can't even do math, basic math at this point.
Oh my gosh.
It's been a. Hey, catch us on the web at twitter.com/edutechguys. I'm just bypass all that. Just go to Google, type in EduTechGuys. EduTechGuys. You'll find us. We're out there.
We'll be there.
Hiding behind the ones and zeros.
That's right. In between them, dodging all the ones and zeros at this point.
So, yeah, I did a show before I left for ISTE.
Yeah. You
were on vacation. And then I was at ISTE, and you did a show because I was on the road coming back from ISTE.
Yes.
And now we're back together in the lovely, beautiful Burbank studios here in beautiful L.A.
That's right, man. We even had the rare summer shower briefly earlier.
Summer, it's been raining like craps and dogs. Cats and dogs every day.
I know, but I thought you were doing the whole Burbank, LA.
Oh, Burbank, lovely Burbank. We're in the beautiful Tom Hanks studio in the LA studios. Tom Hanks Memorial Studio.
Memorial Studio. For a guy who's not even dead.
Hey. You're right. I forgot about that. No, we were deciding what
you forgot he wasn't dead.
There's a movie he died in. Yeah, he got shot up on that bridge. He was trying to save Matt Damon. He was trying to save Matt Damon, and he got shot up on that bridge. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What, didn't he die in that movie?
I have no idea.
You never saw Saving Private Ryan?
Oh yes.
Yeah, he died in that.
He died. Okay, sorry. I was not even thinking of that. When you were saying bridge, I'm thinking
we've been apart too long.
Something.
Our mental, our
yeah,
Vulcan mind meld.
Yes, that's right. The mind meld, the Jedi mind tricks that you play on me no longer work.
Long story short, this show probably won't last that long. But
and he means like EduTech guys, like the whole show, like the whole premise. We're probably not going to last that long.
Yeah, that's what they said about us 2 years ago.
That's right.
And then we show them.
Yeah, we're here, season 3. I mean, that is awesome. We've been here for 3 freaking seasons, and we appreciate everybody who's tuned in and listened and all that good stuff. And
yeah, I got to tell you, I had a blast at ISTE.
Yeah, that's what I really want to.
In not a odd way that I missed him, because it was hard being there by myself. And, doing all the stuff.
By myself.
You know that I'm all by myself.
No, but I totally get that. I really do.
We were people, they recognize the name.
True.
Because they don't know our faces that much. I mean, They see us on like a Twitter graphic every once in a while, but they know the name. And it was funny. People started talking to me, and then they would look down at my name badge and go, "Oh, you're one of the EduTech guys."
Right.
And really, that happened a lot. I mean, a lot of people. The Apple guys said that when I walked up to their booth,
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, I'm one of them. My co-host David's not here. Yeah, I can't say partner.
Well, no, because
they think something else.
Right.
And
it's 2017. That has a whole different connotation.
To quote Jerry Seinfeld, there's anything wrong with that. But it's just David and I we are partners on the air as co-hosts of a podcast.
There you go. That's right.
We
are happily married and not to each other.
And it was really funny. That's what else would get them is like I would be talking to people and I would say something like, "Well, my co-host David said," and we were talking, and they would go, and then a light would click on, and they go, "Oh, you're the EduTech guys." Because once I said, my co-host David, then it was like, "Well, what? That's really crazy."
Yeah. Well, and it really is like when you I don't know what's the right word. Daringly or foolishly, take your pick, allowed me to run things last week. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how anybody does that by themselves, because oh my gosh, there's so much going on. Wow, it was crazy.
What was interesting is the one thing. So let's talk about EdTech, and we'll use ISTE as our jump, because you've been to ISTE before.
I have been to ISTE,
and so now I've been to as they say, the largest ISTE to ever been held.
There were like
21,000 plus people there.
That is nuts,
and
man.
You could tell it. I mean, it was and that is a huge convention center, but Yeah, it was packed. I mean, it was. If you saw some of the Instagram, videos I put
Yeah.
out when they were streaming, it was just like,
Oh,
what?
yeah,
It's
it's
like
just-
ants going to a picnic. I mean, it's just thousands of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess my first gripe would be shame on the majority of educators out there, because I tweeted like crazy, and you saw the tweets, and I told you where I was, I told you how to stop me. I even asked several people on the first 2 days, hey, got a second? Want to step over here and give me a quick interview about who you are, what you do, and why you're here at ISTE, and how much fun you're having. People just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so I have to say, bullshit on you telling student stories, student voice. There, I said it. We're on a podcast.
Hey,
That's okay.
You say what you want.
But there
you
it
say
is.
what you feel you need to say.
Oh, and I
we'll
call-
warn everybody after the fact.
I call it on it. That's what I call on it, because our one of our mottos is, if you can't tell your story, then how are you going to tell theirs? And you can't tell your story. We've run into that.
Well,
how many times have we run into that though at conferences we go to?
We have. Here's the thing. It's not that people can't tell their story. It's people won't tell their story.
Either
and there's
way.
to me, there's a big difference. There's a big difference. Someone who can't tell their story
Doesn't know how.
to share.
Then they shouldn't be in education.
But someone who won't, that's a whole nother thing. That is, and I understand.
So we're changing it to, if you won't tell your story, how are you going to tell it?
Yeah. Well, that's part of that though. But I mean, seriously,
Seriously, you're right.
That's actually
we have two versions of it now.
That's right. That's actually not a bad thing to think
But
about.
you're making a good point. If you can't, then what are you doing in education?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but that's where we are. And I'll say this. I went to several of the Ignites, thousands of people in a giant room, and those people get their 5 or 10 minutes to get up and do their thing. And I will quote many of the other educators I sat with and talked about that. If I had to sit through one of your classes, this is what one of your classes is like, and I didn't have the ed tech or whatever you're doing here to make it fun, I'd shoot myself in the face.
Wow.
Because you can't tell stories.
Yeah.
You can't entertain. You can't narrate this education for me. And I mean, that's it. However you do it. And now, here's the funny part. I'm no orator by any means. But everyone can tell their story. Whether it's telling their story like this, and then we was out by the back pond, and there was a fish the size of a motorboat jumping around, and I ain't seen nothing like that. That's fine. But if you can't, and you won't, and you don't, then you've got to really question what you're doing. If it's all about taking apart hair dryers and doing crap like that, printing some 3D and making posters and all that, then where's it really getting to? I mean, where are the kids learning? Because everyone has that person they look back and go, there was that one person that I modeled myself after.
Right.
For this long, until the next person came along, or they didn't, and I just continued to model that person. That's right. I keep interrupting you.
Oh no. I think a lot of this though goes back to what kind of the very beginning discussion we had was the difference between can't and won't, and unfortunately, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of what happens. Well, really, in a lot of classrooms every single day, and that is that you have someone who knows their stuff. I have no doubt. Now, I wasn't there. I don't know. I have no doubt that the people standing on stage knew their stuff. They just didn't know how to talk about it. It's a lot like our field. We know, and I'm sure that you guys out there listening have similar experience where you're talking to a tech person, and that tech person doesn't speak English. And I don't mean they're speaking with some accent. I mean they are not talking to you in a plain enough language for you to understand what's going on. And some folks do that intentionally because they think it makes them bigger and badder and better.
That's true.
And other folks, they just don't know how to communicate in plain English and break it down for those of us that may not understand what they're talking about. I mean, there's one guy, we're in the tech industry, and I had a friend of mine, he's passed away, but he was that way to me. I mean, I know a lot of the stuff he was talking about, but he was just one of those people that he was one of those people that when he clued in that you sort of understood what he was talking about, then he ramped it up because he wanted to make sure that you knew that he knew more than you, that you weren't going to understand this. And then again, there were other times where he was trying to teach us something, or teach me something, and I wasn't getting it just because he didn't have the skills to present what it was that he was doing. And I wonder how much of that is part of that case.
You gotta wonder what's the difference. It's the 21st century. We're pushing kids harder and farther and faster than we've ever pushed kids. So that fine line between teaching second graders and teaching 12th graders and teaching adults is very thin.
Oh yeah.
And we're at this point where, if you can't, you should be able to do it the same way you do with second graders with second grade teachers. And it should go across perfectly fine. Now, I want to clarify. There were a lot of great presenters there, and there were a lot of great poster sessions, and there were a lot of great things. I'm not knocking the overall experience.
Sure.
And I'm not knocking everyone that was there, but because there was some really great people. I volunteered in the presenters lounge one day, so I got to meet all these people. So many of them were great. I had so many of them come up to me and go, "Okay, when I get in there, what would you suggest? How do I handle this?" And I'm like, "Well, speak slowly, stay calm. They're all there to learn. You're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Have a good time with it. You're the knowledgeable person there. You're teaching everybody how to tie a shoe, so you're the master of tying shoes at this point." But that's the thing. A lot of them were in that right spot, and these are teachers that are thrust into this all of a sudden, maybe by their district,
right,
or a facilitator at their campus, and said, "You should do this here." That's a big change, and that was the interesting thing that I told a lot of them. I said, "Listen, you're going to look up and you're going to look out into that crowd, whether it's 30 or 300 or 3,000, depending on where you are at ISTE, and you're going to see people that look like they hate your guts." I said, "Don't worry, that's just resting B-face. So you have to just understand, they're probably not judging you at all. That's just the way they look. And don't take that as, what's going down."
Right.
If they disagree with you, then and they're shaking their head no and doing the little slit your throat thing. Well, maybe they don't like you at that point. But overall, you're gonna have people that are just sitting there to hear what you have to say.
Right.
And some of them are a lot like their students. They're there to be entertained.
Right.
And
That's
so
exactly right.
If you don't have a tap dance and you're not playing guitar, or you're playing, something on an iPad, or you're not showing a video or printing a 3D something, they're not entertained. So they're going to overlook that. I said, and that's a discussion I got in with one of the people in the Bloggers Cafe, was talking about podcasts.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about blogs. I said, you realize a blog is letters on paper, and a podcast is just audio.
Right.
You can't see anything. There's nothing else going on. They're popular again. Well, why? How is that possible? People like to be entertained. And, that's because they're doing something else as they're doing a podcast.
Sure. Yeah.
And a blog, nowadays, a discussion I had with a heavyweight blog writer, it was like, if you don't do 1,000 words, you're not really writing an article. Well, I hate to tell you, but the majority of blogs that are out there are 3 paragraphs.
Yeah.
4 tops.
And not long
Nowhere
paragraphs.
near 1,000 words.
No.
And it's just, I'm just going to say, hey, look, it's toast. It browned in the toaster, and we put jelly on it. And that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is up to you. 12 ways to make toast, and each one's 2 sentences. So, but I just wanted to jump into that because I feel like that was the biggest disappointment I had, was the amount of people that I attempted to corner.
Yeah.
The interesting thing was, and I purposely did not interview any exhibitors.
Yeah.
Because I just, we've done that before, and
Well,
I didn't see a need to do that. I wasn't there to do
Yeah.
that. But do you know how many exhibitors begged for me to interview them? Pretty much every one of them that I stopped at.
Well, see, and what I find interesting about that is, as you're listening, I'm sure you may be saying to yourself, well, yeah, of course, they want to be able to tell their quote unquote story because they want to try to sell you something. And I would say, for a majority of vendors, that if you're going to put a microphone in their face, guess what? Yeah, they're going to talk about their product. They're going to talk about their stuff. But here's the thing. If somebody sticks a microphone in your face, then why aren't you? And you may be. I'm trying to get people to think.
Right.
Those folks who shy away from that should be your opportunity to shine and say, oh, yeah, I'm a second grade teacher from this place, and this is what I'm doing. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be presenting a session, and I'm going to show you how to use Kajuza-Muza online, and we're going to use this. And yeah, exactly. We've had those people. And they've said, oh yeah, or I've got an hour-long session on these 3 things or these 5 things. Yeah, you got to come out to room 422 and check out what we're doing. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense to me why exhibitors would be, chomping at the bit. But we're talking education here. So we as educators should be just as willing to chomp at that bit. But let's think bigger than that. You, me, we as individuals and as individuals, well, that sounds stupid, but singly, but also as part of whatever our particular collective circles are, right? You've got hobbies you like, you've got things you do with your work, you got that kind of stuff. If somebody shoves a microphone in your face and says, hey, what do you do? Where are you from? Tell me about your story. We should really have that, what you call the elevator pitch. We should have that 30 to 45 second thing that says, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I enjoy. And if that's it, then we walk away after 30 or 45 seconds. But if there's more to discuss and the person with the microphone says, well, wait a minute, do you mind telling me a little bit about this or that? Dude, that's your passion. Share your passion. And so I really wonder how many of those people how many folks out there in general don't know how to share their passion. Right. Maybe that's something that needs to be tapped into.
I think it is.
How do you share your passion?
And that's a great question. I mean, you're right. That educational elevator pitch. You've always got to have it ready.
Exactly.
Because that's who you are. That's what you're doing.
Yes.
Hey, let's look at that when we come back. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to drop out to a quick commercial, and we'll be right back after this.
You're listening to EduTechGuys.com. Don't just listen to us. Bring us into your district today for cool, exciting, professional development. We'll teach you and your students how to take podcasting to the next level and use it to reach your classroom and to reach the world. Reach out to us on Twitter at EduTechGuys or head over to EduTechGuys.com. Scroll down on the page and fill out the form and we'll be in touch. Bring EduTechGuys to your school.
Hey, welcome back to the EduTech Guys. That was a quick commercial. 30 seconds went by really fast. Didn't even see it coming.
Yeah, that's what happens when you've been away for a while.
Holy smokes. This show takes too long.
You're not the only one to say that.
Yeah.
Or the first one to say that or something. I don't know.
Are you saying our listeners say that? That's terrible.
That's terrible. No.
Anyway, yeah, David and I were talking about ISTE and what I took away and telling your story. And that's one of the things that I had a problem there. And we have this problem at every conference. The ones we don't really have too much of a problem is when we actually set up an appointment schedule and then, the conference actually, kind of pushes it ahead of time.
Yes.
We do get a ton of people that do sign up that way.
Yes.
But, and they're prepped. But, you've as a teacher, you should never have to be prepped to do your job.
To talk about and share what you do with your students in your classroom.
I mean, that's like, that's really interesting because, you sit on an airplane and somebody says, what do you do for a living? And, I make aluminum molds of injectors for engines. Well, you tell me all about it. Sure, because I do it every day. It's, it's how I make money. That's good because I'm with Chrysler and I'm about to hire you to do all my, So it's one of those things where you do what? Well, I'm with so-and-so publishing educational blah, blah, blah. I'd love to tell your story. And, my school's having that same problem. How do we tell the story even better? That's really interesting that teachers can't do that. Maybe that's the next article we need to talk about is preparing your educational elevator pitch.
Yeah. That's actually a really good. In fact, that needs to be. We need to make that into one of our sessions that we can.
Yeah,
a workshop that we can do, a breakout session.
Because we can help you do that. We've heard a lot of elevator pitches.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and they don't have to be just 30 seconds or 45 seconds. But if you get that opportunity, if your hero walks up to you, and you have 30 or 45 seconds in passing, and they say, "Tell me who you are and what you do."
Yeah.
Why do I need to know you?
Exactly.
If I'm trapped on this elevator with you, why do I need to know you? Why does your face matter to me once we get off of this thing? Yeah, that's a really big deal. I think it is.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. And I hate that. And again, I know that wasn't your overall experience by any stretch of the imagination, but I do hate that you and obviously others felt that that was the content being delivered to you.
Well, several people.
And I don't know if it was the content or if it's the delivery, but either way.
Well, several people near the end started talking about it being a great place for salespeople to get leads. that's what ISTE was about. So I started hearing the dark underbelly of this is why ISTE is around, is that the majority of it is so all these, exhibitors and all these people can throw parties and take people out to eat and give away stuff and generate sales leads. Because that's what it's gotten larger. But ISTE's gotten larger, therefore it costs more money. So you need more money to make it run. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I get that.
Right. But I mean, that happens at every conference. There are not, I guess I can't say every conference, but for the majority of conferences where there are exhibitors/vendors involved, that's part of it, and and frankly, that's part of how the conference is able to get put on at hopefully relatively affordable prices.
Right.
And the folks who get that, there's a bunch of vendors, there's a bunch of exhibitors, but the admission fee is kept relatively low. The folks who don't get that, you have a handful of exhibitors, and the admission fee is off the charts. We know one recently,
right?
That they really, really went through the roof in terms of how much they were going to charge to come into their conference, and we quit going. It just wasn't worth. The money they were wanting to charge wasn't worth what we were getting out of it, and so if their complaint about, or their observation about the vendors and generating sales leads and all that kind of stuff, if that ultimately flips and works against the organizers, it will be reflected. The number of participants will plummet.
But the interesting part is I didn't notice that. There were a lot of sessions.
That's what I was going to say. Here's the funny thing about that. I think a lot of that depends on what sessions and what workshops and posters and the whole, what you focus on. Yeah. So if you're focusing on or attending a lot of the sessions that are hosted by vendors, well then, to you it's going to look like a vendor show. But if instead you're the type who basically, maybe you walk around the vendor hall to get some of the tchotchkes and then you don't really care, and the sessions you attend are led by other educators, then guess what? You see ISTE as an educator-led conference.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really interesting. And I can see, having seen what was there, going through everything, I can see it both ways.
Sure.
Because Microsoft's on a real push to try and save their hiney in the market against Google.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
I think at this point most folks are trying to save their hiney against Google.
I think you're right. And,
or hope to be bought by them one.
So, and it's funny, Microsoft has a lot of stuff going for it. Minecraft, Skype, OneNote, Office 365. Yeah. I mean, they have a whole bunch of stuff, but that might be the problem also. Microsoft is is still a juggernaut, no matter what anyone says.
Oh, well, yeah.
They might be a quasi sleeping giant at this point, but they're still a juggernaut.
Sure.
And when they get running, it's hard to stop them. So I think but I could tell that there. I mean, they had a lot of sessions on Minecraft and OneNote and Skyping and, and the other stuff though was, I guess, what I've been saying was fluff for like the past 4 or 5 months. I'm really confused about where PBL is going. I'm really confused about makerspaces.
Yeah.
And you would call me stupid. I'm not a stupid person by any means. I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen trends and fads come and go again, and show back up in a different paint job and a different, different clothing. But I feel like we're starting to get test scores back in places, and we're starting to see stuff, and pretty much we're coming down to the sheer fact that reading, writing, and arithmetic are not being covered. We're seeing that more and more. And I've got to figure out, for the sake of me and for the sake of those that we interview and those people that we enjoy, that we find are great educators.
Sure.
How do we tell their PBL story, their makerspace story, and their STEM story and their STEAM story? How do we tell these stories with the validity that we know is true, because we can actually back it up with? Because you can show me numbers and you can tell me that it's great, but everybody knows until I actually taste it.
Yeah.
Then I've got to taste it myself.
Well, and how much of it? I mean, let's throw some. I don't know what do you call that? Throw your hat in the ring or whatever. Let's put on the boxing gloves or take them off or whatever that's called. Take off the kid gloves. Let's get down to the meat, right? So here's the thing: you have a lot of schools, whether it's individual grades, whether it's whole buildings, districts, whatever, who are claiming that, and we'll jump on the PBL thing that you were talking about. So a lot of these districts bring in folks to do PBL, or they institute. I don't know if that's the right word, but they start these PBL based programs. So we're not going to do the traditional model anymore. We're going to do project based learning and problem solving based learning across the board, and this is what it's going to be, and we're going to have all these cool projects. We're going to solve these world problems, and da 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 da. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess it depends. I don't know. Where's the information? Where's the data, I guess, that shows how any of that is truly affecting the student outcomes?
Right.
I mean, that's and I think that's what you're talking about. Where are the numbers? Show me the money. Right. Show me the numbers.
Just because they address the standards does not mean that every kid is meeting or exceeding that.
Right.
I mean, and to think about it, that's all we hear. Well, this, we tie this to this standard, and this meets this standard, and blah blah blah. Okay, great, but show me the numbers that say Jeff and David both get it, and they scored here on the tests, and they have a B in the class, and they graduated high school, and say, hey, when I built that birdhouse and tied it to the Revolutionary Battle of 1777 and blah, 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 that's what made the difference for me.
Well, and along those same lines, like it or not, we have to, in today's current mode of education, for those of us who are in states that require and live and die by these nationwide and statewide standardized tests, good, bad, or ugly, those are the measurements that we are held accountable. So if we're held accountable against those measures, then I need to see that whatever program I'm instituting or whatever complete change in the way I do things, that has to translate. So if 98% of my students can't even make basic, then what are we doing? How is this? Show me where I'm doing something wrong, that it's not, and I'm meeting the standards, but my students can't pass the tests that are required to test. Right. So something's breaking down somewhere.
Just because I'm showing you orange on the screen doesn't mean it's orange.
Exactly.
Exactly. I think that's, so if you're wondering, I think David and I are actually defining where this season of the EduTechGuys is going.
I think so.
I think our challenge is going to be to come on and support and show us PBL, show us Makerspace, show us STEAM and STEM, show us whatever.
Right, and not just show us, I want to see your hard evidence that there was a school program and it got turned around. There were, and it could be, and that is, I'm going to, at least for me personally, I'm going to loosely define that. Show me where you were doing things a certain way for 100 years, and then you changed, and now your graduation rates are through the roof. Mm-hmm. Or I don't even care about your graduation rates necessarily. How about your dropout rates?
Yeah.
Now, our graduation rates, they're okay, but we're retaining our students longer before we lose them at the end, or whatever's happening, for the graduation rates, or whatever that is, or it could be, well, our students went from, 42% on the state benchmark or whatever they call it now to 52%, or, it kills me. One of the things, and I'm going to kind of birdwalk a little bit here, but it kills me that districts that grow, quote unquote, grow from 32% to 42% are heralded as champions of education when you have another district who goes from 92% to 93%, and they are reamed because they didn't grow enough.
Right.
Yeah, they were already at 92%. They're already blowing these 32% schools out of the water, and yet you're reaming them?
Yeah.
That makes no sense at all.
None whatsoever. Because that's in that same category of, we're talking about the way we look at everything. So think of this. How many books are out there that tell you how you should be doing PBL or Makerspace? And how many books are out there that say, this is how we did it and we won?
Right. And are there? I mean, I have no idea. I'd have to Google that and see. Are there books that talk about the success of, for example, a PBL implementation?
We're back to where we started in our very first conversation about telling your story.
Yeah,
I mean, if you've got the stone tablets
that's
and you're
right.
standing on the mountain,
That's right.
you
Start
should
shouting it out.
You should be shouting it out.
That's exactly right.
And if you're not, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing your district a disservice, your community, and your students a disservice.
Exactly.
And you really have to take a look at that. So, you can talk about, the guys here on the podcast, and they've got their little podcast, and they do their little stuff and all that. But boo, guess what? We're doing our best to shout it out.
Right. And we're hopefully anyway, we're helping others shout out their story. Jeff's right. I think we are going to we're
New challenge for us.
yeah, we're going to shift gears. We're going to shift up a gear, and we are going to start trudging, not even trudging. We're going to plow headlong forward into throwing up some challenges. We don't want to be contributors to the fluff. I did not get into this to be a cotton candy vendor.
Yeah, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
There's the thing. David and I are both very talented at what we do, and we could jump into fluff sales pretty easily.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's fluff is easy.
Fluff is easy, and if you're good at what you do, fluff is real easy.
Right.
So, but there it is. You're right. There's our new challenge. We'll take a look at it. Yeah. So remember, if you have any complaints, email David@edutechguys.com. No, I'm just kidding. If you have
bring them on. I'm
if
good.
You have something
bring
you'd like to say, email both of us, Jeff or David @edutechguys.com, or just contact@edutechguys.com.
Yep.
Go to the website, drop down to the bottom. You can fill it out right there anonymously and drop it in. Hashtag ETG chat, or just message us on Twitter. That's the place that we check the most. There's about 75 different avenues to get to us. Anywhere on social media, the web, you name
Exactly.
it. Let us know what you're thinking. Hey, what do you say we do a song we haven't done in a while?
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Oh, some Nick C. Oh, nice. This is Completely Yours here on EduTech Guys Radio.
Your name, will you hear me? Cause honey, I'm just vibing on your energy when you're near me. And I know we have just begun, but I'm glad that we can give it a chance. Cause ain't no better feeling out and falling in love. My heart is not my own, and it's sinking like a stone. I'm completely yours. I'm completely yours. I'm completely yours. I'm completely yours. Well, love, every time that you cross my mind, I think of bright moonlight and a glass of wine, and slow dancing on the beach to our favorite song. And if nobody's looking, we can get it on. But I know we have just begun, and I'm glad that we can give it a chance. Cause ain't no better feeling out and falling in love. My heart is like a stone. My heart is not my own. I'm completely yours. I'm completely yours. I'm completely yours. I'm completely yours. When you look at me, the way my hair stands up when I hear you speak, the way my legs turn rubber when you love me down. I said, hey, little lover, can you hear me now? Well, I know we have just begun, and I'm glad that we can give it a chance. Cause ain't no better feeling out and falling in love. My heart is not my own. It's sinking like a stone. I'm completely yours.
yeah, no Google tip this week because I just really haven't.
Here's a Google tip. Use Google.
Use Google. They had a really cool vending machine you could line up for, and you could go up to this vending machine, and it gave you a Google Cardboard. It was like
Oh, really?
like one of the soda machines,
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
balls,
yeah.
and it would drop out a Google Cardboard. So
Okay,
you
that's
go
kinda
up.
cool.
It was kind of cool. I mean, it's just a neat way to get your Google Cardboard.
Did it charge you for it, like the regular
No,
$14.95? No, it's just free Google.
Free. There, you go up and you show them your badge,
Yeah.
and you scan it, and then they would get to push the button. And
That's very cool.
Dropped it in a little thing, and you got your little Google Cardboard.
That's pretty cool.
I thought it was pretty cool.
That's
that way
cool.
All the teachers got Google Cardboard when they were
Yeah.
there.
Hey.
But yeah, Google had a big nice exhibit. They all had nice exhibits. It was interesting. I have to say it was a lot of fun.
Any of the folks that we've talked to, were they down there?
Yeah.
You run into some of the folks that we've had.
Justin McKeon is at Power School now. I ran into Justin.
okay.
I saw all the guys from Go Guardian.
Yeah.
The Bunsey folks were all there.
Nice.
Yeah, I kept running into folks. Arrow Hive, you name
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I ran into a whole bunch of those cats
Well, that's
at their
awesome.
booths, and then people just walking through the place. The tech rabbi, he and I were actually passing each other, and we both went, dude, and we got a picture, and I was like,
That's
so
cool.
We're both running to somewhere else.
Sure.
That's the interesting thing. I had found a handful of sessions that intrigued me, but I found myself busy the whole time.
Sure.
You know, I mean, going places, and I didn't spend that much time on the exhibit floors. Like, you know, I went on and saw people that I wanted to see into certain booths, you know, Power's
Right.
booths and things like that.
Right.
But the most of the time I went to a lot of the Ignite stuff and sat through it, and then I spent a lot of time in the Bloggers Cafe talking to people coming in and out, and they had the Ignite showing on a big TV there with speakers, so you could
cool.
watch the Ignite happening literally in the room right across from
Right.
the Bloggers Cafe, and then I could, you know, hang out with some folks and talk, and so I met a lot of people there.
Yeah.
So, and I did the Badge Summit beforehand, which is a whole other
yeah,
show.
that's right. Yeah.
We'll have to get Noah on and let him come on the show and talk about badging and micro credentials. That's some really happening stuff.
That's cool.
Now there's some putting some rubber to the road. It's like, you know, this whole badging and micro credential idea is that let's get kids trained in school and get them with micro credentials, so when they leave, if they don't go post secondary, they've got something that you know, local community businesses and nationwide or international companies are looking for, and go,
Right.
yeah, you've already got this done. Great, come on board.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
pretty interesting, and it's great for continuing education. And so, you know, the Badge Summit's really cool. But yeah, I mean, that's a lot of stuff for our next show. So there it is, stuff for our next show. Challenges. We're gonna start trying to get people to put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, sounds great, man. I think it's going to shape up to be a really cool, different feel, different vibe for this year, and I don't know, it's going to be cool.
I think so. Well, awesome. So I guess we'll call it a show.
It's a show.
It's a show. Hey, I'm Jeff.
I'm David.
Hey, we'll catch you next time on the EduTech Guys.
You've been listening to EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.